detachment, at least for a short time, during maybe meditation for a few minutes, during the week, in which you simply let go of that which you so strongly believe. And I can speak from personal experience and say I know that that is not easy to do. But the results are really such a relief. When you have strongly held beliefs, sometimes you don't realize how heavy those are on your shoulders. And to just let them go for a while gives you a relief, and it also reacquaints you with who you are, the truth of who you are. Because in truth, we are not the sum of those things that we believe, however passionately we may believe them. They are simply part of that illusory virtual reality game that we are involved in. That doesn't mean that we don't need to see them with importance. That doesn't mean we stop playing the game. It means, though, that for at least a certain period of time, we can transcend, we can rise above, we can see beyond it. And then you can come back down and maybe do exactly what you were going to do before, but with greater awareness. And I would encourage that, because I feel like right now we're going through a very important phase. And this polarization is a sort of symptom of it. It's something that has always been true, but we seem to be being given an opportunity because it's so pronounced at this point, and people are talking about it and seeing it. We seem to be having an opportunity to really go into it and to heal it. And this can bring big results, not only on the surface level or the everyday level, or as I might also call it, the illusory level, but also in our spiritual awareness. Right? Because the concept is, and it's based in the belief in separation, that we are separate identities and with different agendas and different thoughts. And we create that illusion every day, and we seem to be doing it in such a profound way that it seems like it's almost a precursor to a breakthrough of some kind. So basically, the concept that's going on is only my truth is true. Because that's what everybody believes. Only my truth is true. And if my truth is true, your truth cannot be true. Therefore, my truth has to, no pun intended, trump your truth. But the reality of the situation, and the thing that you can kind of maybe meditate on or take into your reflection, is all truths are true. All truths are true. And you might say, well, how can you say that? How can you say that someone who has a truth that says that climate change doesn't exist, how can that be true when I know climate change is happening and does exist? Or vice versa. And when I say all truths are true, what I mean is, for that person who thinks climate change is a hoax, that truth is true. They genuinely believe that. They're not making it up. They're not just arguing it to prove a point, although there may be a certain belligerence behind it. These are deeply held beliefs. And for that person, that truth is as true as the truth of, many scientists and others who have said that climate change is happening and believe in the science behind it. There are, by the way, also, just to, explain further, while there are many, a majority, I would say, of scientists that have concluded that climate change caused by man-made environmental interference, if you will, through gases and such, that climate change is ramping up. And there was a big article about that this week, a big discussion about that. That many believe that action, if action is not taken, then you're going to see very severe consequences by 2020. The difference in this particular UN report was that where before there was a sort of a hopefulness that this would be addressed by nations and politicians and technological breakthroughs that could be created to help clean the environment in a way that will save some aspects of climate change. Now there's a little less hopefulness because there's a feeling that these things won't be done. So that report came out this week. And again, for someone who doesn't think climate change is real, that truth is not true. So where does that leave us? When we have conflicting truths. Of course, we see it in religion. If you're a Christian, only my truth is true. Only my belief about God is true. If you are a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Jew, well, you're on the wrong path. Now, there are degrees of acceptance and tolerance among religious folks from one degree to another. Some are much more tolerant, saying that everyone follows their own path. But my path is truer than theirs. Okay? That's the basis of all religion, I think, most religions. There are, though, particularly in factions of Buddhism and Hinduism, this concept of all paths lead to the same divine destination, and no path is truer than another. Each path tells the same story in a different way. And you'll find those usually in the oldest religions, like Buddhism and Hindu. The young upstarts, the desert religions, as I call them, that's Christian, Judeo-Christian, and Islam. Those are the younger religions, in by perspective. Certainly they're quite old, but there are religions much older. There are traditions much older. So it's these younger religions that seem to have a more strident perspective on these things. But again, not to get off the track here, when I say all truths are true, I mean that. All truths are true. Because from one perspective or another, as the creators that we are, the things we create give us a world in which we believe what we believe, and it's true for us. Of course, that makes it difficult when together as a community you need to make certain decisions. So whose truth will win out? And it's usually the truth that seems to be most helpful, most conducive, most accepted among the community. But it doesn't make the truths any truer or less true. And again, it's very hard until you go into that meditation where you just drop all of your beliefs. It's hard to get there. But you'll be, I think, surprised if you try it. But the caveat to that, by the way, if all truths are true, that means that also no truths are true, or the absolute truth. Right? Because all of these so-called truths that I'm talking about, and I'm talking about truth with a lowercase t, the truth of climate change as we've been discussing, or the truth of Trump voters, or the truth of progressive Democrats, the truth of Christianity, the truth of Hinduism or Islam. Those are lowercase t truths. And the fact is that the lowercase t truths are really all illusions. That's why they're all true. Because if we are playing in this illusory game space, then all of those truths are simultaneously true and illusions at the same time. The only one truth that's true for all is the truth with the capital T. And the truth with the capital T is our oneness. Our separation is the illusion. So from the perspective of the one truth, the truth with a capital T, all truths are true. And also not. Well, I hope that makes voting for you clear as mud. But I think that it would be really important, and it's something I'm going to continue to do myself, because as I mentioned, and again I will be the first to say, I'm one of those people that has always had rather deeply held beliefs about right, what's rightness and what wrongness is. And it is only in meditation that I'm able to put that into perspective. And it's important to put it in perspective, because unchecked, no matter how right you think you are, or no matter how wrong you think a situation is, unchecked, it leads to disharmony. It leads to a sense of hopelessness, and it ultimately leads to, nothingness. That doesn't mean you don't do anything about those things that you feel moved to do something about. That's part of the game. But it's important to understand that there's something more to existence than that. There's something behind it. There's something beyond it. And without that sense, it's all hopelessness, in a way. Alright, I have spoken my piece about that for now. Okay, for now. Fair warning. Tune in again, you may get another story. Alright, so now it's time to move on and continue with some helpful tips for autumn health issues that may or may not arise in your life. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going